Nukes, or nuclear weapons, in Humankind are a game changer, and I dare say that Humankind does it better than any other 4X game to ensure that we get away from
mindless grind of spamming the enter button.
I am sorry, but it's true. Humankind has developed a very interesting system. You can see it playing out on screen, and I'll have useful footage throughout. The system for nukes in Humankind is something special, not only because of the mutually assured destruction thanks to the one-turn delay, but also the geopolitical ramifications for nukes are far more widespread, and also, there's even more. The unlocks and costs required to get these bad boys are again, incredibly devastating. Look at these costs. With 1,700 science per turn, it will take you still a whopping somewhere between 16 and 21 turns to get these late game technologies just to start unlocking your nuclear weapons. You'll also need, of course, the infrastructure that's required. There are districts like the aerodrome, but also specific ones here, like this, for nuclear weapons. Furthermore, you need the appropriate civics, which are very expensive, and then finally, you pull it all together with these test sites, okay? On the map, physical tiles that are completely dedicated to producing and testing these bad boys, nuclear weapons, and of course launching them as well. In case you haven't gathered, there's a lot that goes into nuclear weapons in Humankind, and man, oh man, it makes it interesting. For starters, I want to talk about the mutually assured destruction, the MAD approach. Historically, we see it in real life. We've seen it during the Cold War, and we still see it. Mutually assured destruction, what does it mean? It means if you nuke me, I'll nuke you, and we both lose. The destruction is indeed mutually assured. How does Humankind make this work, though? Well, it's actually really simple. There's a turn delay between the launch of the nuke and when the nuclear missile goes off, when it reaches its target. What does that mean? It means that other players will have time to respond. Mutually assured destruction. If you nuke me on turn 201 and I see that nuke launch, I can launch one in retaliation before yours hits me. That gets rid of some of that nuke killing cheese that we saw in Civilization 5, but also makes that threat that, oh my goodness, there could be ramifications for my action. It makes that threat real. And that matters, not just for multiplayer games, but for single-player games as well. How the AI will handle it, however, is another question entirely, and we'll have to play out that one and test it as we go through. By the way, you're seeing other footage here of some of the new units in Humankind, but I will be bouncing back and forth between some nuke footage as well. Moving on, and sort of tying in with that actually one turn delay, geopolitical ramifications go even further, though. Humankind says, you know what? Nuclear weapons and nuclear warfare is a big deal. We need to treat it with that respect, and they've done so. Of course, there are disarmament, nuclear disarmament, proliferation, proposals that you can put forward at a global level in the late game. Moreover, you can also ban uranium and the nuclear weapons themselves. Lots of diplomatic actions at that wide level, but also down on individual levels we see it as well. Indeed, launching nuclear weapons, but also testing them, more on that slightly later in the video, will incur grievances against you. So, enemy players will be able to say, hey, you were testing a nuke, or hey, you've advanced to nuclear weaponry, or worse come to worse, you nuked us, and use that against you. Use that against you in discussions, in diplomatic trades, negotiations, and of course it will build up war support, that fundamental number that you need to win wars, to win fights, and ultimately keep your population on board. So the costs of launching nuclear weapons, even just testing the nukes, are incredible, which actually brings me back into something that I've already covered a little bit at the start of the video, but I want to go in a little bit more detail here, and that's actually the unlocking process for the nuke. So as I said, it's pretty extreme. You need the appropriate technologies. You need the infrastructure in place. You need the civics. You need the tech. You need the launching platform. You need all of it. And it's very, very, very expensive, not just for the scientific costs, the influence costs, or what have you for your civic, but more broadly, just producing these things is incredibly expensive. I'm going to swap now into some map maker gameplay. I hope you enjoy that just as I wrap up here in my last few key points on the nukes. Now, unlocking them is very difficult, but also using them is incredibly difficult as well because of that one turn delay, but moreover, all of those costs required to doing them. But I think that makes a lot of sense because, and my last point, is their function. These things are absolutely devastating, and whether you find the launch animation to be fantastic and beautiful or a little bit cheesy, you have to admit, nuclear weapons in Humankind, the combat strength on these things alone is devastating. Then, imagine this, there's fallout left behind. The population within the city wasn't sheltered, so they're screwed. The districts and buildings all around, all of the tile improvements in your territory, and territories are big in Humankind, all of them are destroyed. These weapons are absolutely devastating, and from all that we know about them so far, it looks like they're going to be a really exciting piece of warfare arsenal in Humankind Game. Overall, I think that nuclear weapons in Humankind have more of a political discourse and geopolitical ramifications to them than we've ever seen before in other 4X games. Partly that's because of the high cost involved, and a lot of hoops you have to jump through to actually use the dang things. There is indeed a very high cost to entry, but so they should be. These are the most devastating weapons we've ever seen in human history, that we've ever used regretfully on each other. There should be a high cost to entry, but I think that the geopolitical ramifications, indeed all of those geopolitical functions that come along with the nuclear weapons. I'm talking engagements with other players. I'm talking World Congress level engagements, bans, so on and so forth, help to shape a nuclear system in Humankind unlike any other. And I really mean that. These nukes are incredibly exciting. They're incredibly devastating as well. Overall, their function is fantastic, their form is fantastic, and here at the end of the video, we haven't even covered off their range, which is absolutely absurd. You can take people out from across the map. When artillery cannons can shoot 10 tiles away, you bet your backside these nukes can go 50. Thank you very much for watching this video on nuclear weapons in Humankind, and until next time, everybody, I'll see you then.